Hi, everyone. Welcome to Changing100. I'm Krystal. My co host is Tori. I'm just popping in here to intro this episode because this is part 2 of episode 11. In part 1, we heard all about Tori's experience with a woman at the roulette table. And in part 2, you're going to hear my story with my player on my game, which is really interesting. I feel like it kind of lines up. Well, Tori talked about how women and, supporting women. And then my story is a little bit about what a guy thinks about women. It's pretty interesting. I hope you guys stick around and listen. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I really hope you enjoy the episode. See you later.
This dude knows what he's doing.
But does he? I think he's getting played. I'm dying to see this girl.
Yeah.
Dying to see the 31-year-old virgin.
Do we really think she's a virgin?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So, because I asked her, I was like, you've seen everything, huh? When I first met her. And she's like, I've seen everything. She's like, I've seen somebody die in front of me. And I was like, what?
All right.
I don't even know what to follow that up with.
I know.
I'm so mad.
Have you had Karens?
I haven't had Karens, but I did have this. Oh, man. It kind of lines up to, like, since we're talking about women.
Karen or Kevin's?
The perspective of women. Oh, man. I don't even know how to start this. Because this man came to my. No, I came back from break and this guy was sitting at my table. And he was a younger guy. Well, actually, he's turning 30 sometime in the next few months. And I guess he's having an epiphany of his, or like having a 30 life crisis.
30-year-old life crisis? Okay.
This guy lives in LA, single mom, has 3 brothers. He's Indian.
Okay.
So think of the Indian culture. If you know anything about Indian culture, they're very particular about the things they do, right? Like, I fully thought at 30 he would have been married with some kids by now, right? Because he's Indian.
Correct. That's typically how it goes.
Right. That's their culture.
I think, yeah.
Culturally, him and my supervisor, the floor we're talking about, is like culturally, like, yeah, the women in that culture are raised to be wives and mothers.
Right.
Right? So that's kind of just like culturally how they do it. Anyways, sitting at my table, I get there and he is talking about how he brought 60 women out to Vegas, put them all up in rooms at a hotel. I almost said the name of the hotel.
You're like, sir, how do I get on your list of women? Do you go to Miami?
No, you don't want to be. You don't want to be. This guy's a piece of shit. Just put it out there.
Okay, if I remember a story at the end of this story, I'll tell you a story at the end of the story.
He flew 60 women out from LA, which is a very short flight, and put them all up in rooms. He paid for all their rooms, but then he goes, "But I don't want to be fucking around them, so I'm staying here, where I was."
So they were staying at a different hotel than he was?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So me and my floor, what's wild, the last story I told about Freddie and how wild Freddie was.
We love Freddie.
This was the same floor that was with me with this guy. And when this guy left at the end,
floor on the pod.
When this guy left at the end, I looked at him, I was like, why does this keep happening to us? Because we're not together often.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're together, when you're my floor, we have some very interesting characters. I was like, this dynamic.
Okay.
Flew 60 girls out from LA. He doesn't care to be around them. So he's staying at a different hotel and he put them up somewhere else. So me and my floor were like, so are you like a pimp or something? Like, what do you do? No, he owns a company. Random, right? And, well, I guess let me tell you how he's dressed. He's wearing a Fendi short sleeve button-up shirt.
I'm already fucked up.
But it's
unbuttoned down to his chest. Got it.
Yeah, so chest is out. He has, some necklace, chain. I don't even remember.
I was going to say he's got some type of chain on. Yeah.
Yeah, he has the loafers on with the jeans.
Oh, the loafers. So he's like a chill high end.
And he talked about how he's been in the Vegas scene and he used to do like the club stuff and the promoter stuff and all that. So when he explained that, we were like, okay, so, standard. And then so we kind of started to like, so what's up with these women? Like, are you sleeping with them? Are you a pimp? Like, what's your deal? No, solo company. He's just like, I just love being around women.
Okay.
I've
met men like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't sleep with them.
That might be fine.
He's not like, I'm not going around sleeping with all of them, but I just like to be surrounded by beautiful women.
Okay.
Got it. Whatever. It's Vegas.
You get treated really well when you're a man surrounded by beautiful women.
And you're taking care of them.
And you're taking care of your woman?
So, right?
You get treated really well in Vegas.
But he keeps going on his phone to the point where I'm not dealing hands because he'll get on his phone and he'll just be texting on his phone the whole time. So, like, by the third time this happens, because I had dealt the first 2 times while he grabbed his phone, and the cards are just sitting there for a while. He's not doing anything. He's not making decisions. He has no idea what he has because he's so on his phone.
Okay.
So by the third time, my floor was like, just don't deal when he goes on his phone. I was like, noted. So yeah, I'm not going to deal.
Right.
The third time it happens, I'm like, what's going on?
Can I ask you a random question real quick?
Yeah.
So when you deal to players, are you normally dealing to just one person at a time?
Not
So
always.
him being on his phone isn't that big of a deal because he's the only
He was
person
alone,
there?
yeah, so nobody cared.
Okay.
Nobody really cared.
Okay.
Because he was alone.
Because he was alone. So you could pause the game and wait for
Yeah.
him, technically.
If there were other people there, then we'd have to say something.
Right.
But
Okay.
he was alone, so nobody really cared. So me being me, I was like, so what's going on? Who are you texting?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, well, I'm texting this girl because I got her an Uber and she's supposed to come meet me. I'm like, oh, okay, who's this girl?
Right.
I ask all the questions. If you land on my table.
Just know you're being investigated.
Yes, 100%. You don't even know. I'll get there. And then he tells me he's talking to this girl. He met her 4 years ago. And before this, he's telling us how he's a ladies' man and all these girls want to fuck him, but he won't fuck them because that's not the way he is. He just wants to be surrounded by pretty women.
Okay, but this girl he actually must like.
This girl he likes. He met her 4 years ago, and he said that he actually kind of wants to marry her, right?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But she doesn't really trust him because he slept with her best friend.
Oh, fuck.
It gets better.
Hey.
She's 31. She's a virgin.
That's
Not
so
kidding.
Impressive.
Not kidding. Me
Does
and my
she live
floor
in
were
Vegas?
Me and my floor were looking
Did
at
she
each
li-
other like,
That's him. I'm not gonna lie. Here's the thing. Here's side.
I know, right? Like, let's
side
see.
tangent for a second. Hold on. So when I meet anybody who hasn't had sex till they're like 18, like almost out of high school, I'm like, good for you.
100%.
Because to me, it's like, fuck, I don't want to compare it to this, but I'm going to compare it to this. It's almost like alcohol. Like when you're an alcoholic, people are like, oh, I'm sober, or oh, I don't drink. We talked about this last episode, and I'm like, or a couple episodes ago, and I'm like, good for you, sir. Like, good.
Oh, yes.
Good
yes,
for
yes,
you
yes.
for not drinking in this environment where everybody's drinking, right? So, like, you're fucking 31 and you
31.
haven't had sex.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
She's from a different country.
That's how.
Exactly. So that was our follow-up question. Because now me and my
Okay, you and your
we're
floor,
in on it.
you're in it
we're
together.
We're
Okay.
together
Go
at
ahead.
this point. We kind of looked at each other. We're like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
It's been a dead night.
This is interesting.
We haven't had many players. The other ones were kind of just regular players. They come in, they play, they win money, they lose money, they're out. This guy came in and we were just like, this is it.
Right.
This is our
interesting.
night.
This is the player of the night. Yeah.
She's from a different country. I guess I can say where she's from because it really doesn't matter because I'm not going to say his name or any of that. She's from Germany. She's German. I don't know much about German culture.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that because I feel like German culture is kind of like American culture.
That's what I thought.
Like, kind of not really, but
obviously, I
but
don't
kind
know.
of compared to like, I was like, is she a Muslim? I was like, is she from like a super like maybe a communism country or something? Like somewhere really strict where they don't approve of sex outside of marriage. I almost
Right,
said marriage
exactly.
outside of sex. That's me.
Yeah.
I don't approve of marriage outside of sex.
No. Oh, that was a whole nother conversation I had with somebody else.
Okay.
We'll talk about that another time.
So I'm sorry. So she's from Germany.
She's German. She's 31. She's a virgin. She's never even held hands with a guy. He taught her how to hold hands with a guy.
I'm just like processing the psychology in my head from his perspective.
Right.
Okay.
Then he's what else was about her? He met her 4 years ago, but he slept with her friend. Okay, let's start getting into the weird. Then he goes, it's actually funny because when I tell people that, when I go, oh, yeah, I slept with her best friend and now she's like my sister. And we were like, okay, that's weird. That's weird, right?
The best friend is like his sister?
That he fucked. He says that she's like my sister now.
I don't think it's weird because I've been in situations like that where I've had sex with people, but we're like brother and sister. But continue.
Okay, you guys are in the same boat.
Yeah, I understand you, sir.
Then he starts, so we kind of want to dig deeper on like the women thing.
Yeah.
Because he says she doesn't trust him because he slept with her friend. But we're like, you're also flying 60 women out to Vegas. And you say you want to marry her. And then he says that she thinks you're a player. Well, what are you going to do about this if you want to marry her, right?
This is why we love Krystal asking all the deep questions.
My floor is so much trying to give him real life advice. And it's like, if you really want to be with her, you got to chase her. You got to show her way. And I'm just sitting there like,
this is going to be a Freddie situation. Where Freddie's like, I married the woman of my dreams that I never thought I would marry.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so great.
But then it gets interesting because single mom, he didn't have a dad in his life, right?
Okay.
He starts talking about how he thinks all women are liars, that we lie about everything, that we're deceitful, so he doesn't trust any women, even her, the love of his life, the one he wants to marry, even though he slept with her best friend.
This just okay.
I'm standing there.
I thought I had his psychology in my head, but that just changed things for me. Okay.
So I ask, well, when you marry her, because I'm going along with his fantasy. When you marry her, are you going to have an Indian wedding? Because Indian weddings are very big, extravagant. They last a couple of weeks.
And I'm sorry, he's Indian.
He's Indian.
Okay.
She's German. So that's why I asked.
Right.
When you marry her, are you going to have a really big Indian wedding? And he goes, oh, yeah, but she wants to get married in Germany. So we'll probably have the big Indian wedding over there. Then I ask him, has your mom been pushing you towards marriage? Because again, culturally, has she? And he goes, actually, no, she doesn't want me to get married because she doesn't want me to forget about her. Yeah, the mom. So she doesn't want him to get married. Which to me and to anybody who knows Indian culture out there is kind of just like, oh, strange, interesting, okay, different dynamic, weird. Exactly
the
right.
Processing in my head is being flip-flopped.
Yes.
So bad.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, finish the story and then I'm going to tell you how I'm processing. Hold on. I now have to sit up for this.
So I asked him then, I was like, well, is it because the one you want to marry isn't Indian? And he goes,
oh, that's interesting.
Right? Maybe his mom is just like, I
question.
don't want you to get married because she knows who he wants to marry and he doesn't know. He goes, well, actually, the last relationship I was in it for 3 years with an Indian girl. And he goes, and to tell you the truth, and he goes, oh, you guys don't want to hear this. And me and my floor go, no, we do. Go ahead. Tell us.
Come. Yep.
Safe space. You can tell us. It's a safe space. He goes, I'm not physically attracted to Indian women. Like, I can't get hard. I'm not kidding. Like, me and my floor were just like...
I love this.
We were living.
Did you ask him why he didn't trust women? That would have been my question. I would have been like, why?
I don't know. I think his thing was just like, I think my floor did, or at one point. Some of the things when he said stuff like that, I disappeared in my brain because I was like, this guy's so fucked up in the head.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how attractive was he?
Without knowing his personality, at least an 8.
So he was pretty attractive physically.
Yeah.
Oh!
Well-dressed. He smelled good. He has, like...
Clearly
he was
fine.
At least 6 feet tall. At least.
So
right?
He's attractive, has money, and is 6 foot. That's less than 10% of men in this world.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. I
learned that from the Michael Saraton podcast.
Oh. So
I think that's how you say his last name. Saraton?
I have no idea.
Michael Saraton?
So to give more context, he believes women lie. He also, what did he say? The girl of his that he wants to marry was out to dinner because it was her friend's birthday.
Okay.
And I asked him, I was like, oh, is the friend coming? He's like, fuck no, she's fat. Yeah, exactly. You're going back and forth, right? You're like, what is this man? Who is this man?
German woman live in Vegas?
No, she lives in Germany. She's only here for however long her visa allows her to be here. I think he said 30 days.
Okay, so she was just on holiday. She was just vacationing.
Pretty much, yeah.
So,
right. So he goes on to say, because he said that, and me and my floor were kind of like, well, that's kind of mean. And he goes, well, I hate to say it, but I didn't even finish what he said before. When he said, oh no, I did, because he can't get hard when he's with an Indian woman. He's not attracted. Okay, anyways, but this is another thing. He says, he's like, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. But if I was here with a fat girl, like, you guys wouldn't treat me a certain way.
100%.
He's like,
that's how it goes in Vegas.
He's like, that's
Vegas
just
is
the
shallow.
way it is. Yeah, he's like,
he knows the game.
People aren't attracted to fat people, so I don't want her friend here, and I don't like her friend. She's fat. And I'm just like,
he knows the game.
My God. But the fact that he's saying it out loud, just so nonchalantly. Yeah. Very nonchalantly that I'm just
I love people like that because it makes you uncomfortable, right? Like, you're like, oh, this guy's so shallow. But then he says stuff like that, and you're like, oh, wait.
Yeah,
you're right.
I looked at him and I was like,
everybody in Vegas is shallow as fuck.
I was like, that's how the society here works.
That's so true. Like, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Like,
he said he likes women who are very feminine, who are just those type of Vegas girls who are just like tens.
He likes the Vegas, LA women who know how to party and know how to stay in their place and will suck and fuck if they need to suck and fuck, but he doesn't want to suck and fuck them, so they get lucky and they can pass by that.
He doesn't like them to be loud.
Yep.
He doesn't like to be sloppy drunk.
But he wants the appearance of the women.
100%, yes.
Because he knows what it gets him, because pretty pays. There's a thing in Vegas, it's like pretty privilege. Where you can have no experience and get hired for a job. You can like make the best money in the city because you're pretty. Mm-hmm. He knows how it works, and it works the same with men, because if you're a man and you're surrounded by women with pretty privilege, you get treated a different way. If you're a man and you're surrounded by the same number of women that aren't attractive, it's a different situation.
It is. It's so shallow. But it is. It's just the way it is.
I love this guy.
The fact that he's just coming out of his mouth.
I'm like, what? No filter. Can I follow you on Instagram? Can we be friends? I love him because I love people that know the game and play the game, but aren't afraid to tell you they're playing the game.
Yeah, he's just like, that's just the way it is. And I was like, yeah.
So great. This is great.
Unfortunately, yes. It is the way it is here. He's ordered her 3 Ubers at this point, and she's missed them. So in my head, I'm like, she's standing him up. The girl that you want to marry is standing you up. She's not coming, right? Her friend that she's out to dinner with is probably like, fuck that guy. Stay with me. Let's get drunk. Let's party. It's my birthday.
Well, I'm assuming she's in Vegas for her friends, and he just happens to be in Vegas?
No, because
What's the situation there?
This is what he does. He'll fly a bunch of women out to Vegas.
No, I understand, but did he fly her and her friends out to Vegas?
I'm not sure. She has his credit card, and she hasn't used it. There's that. So I'm pretty sure he probably paid for everything for her, yeah. Yeah. It was an interesting hour. So, finally, supposedly she's in an Uber and she's on her way. I'm dying to see this girl.
Yeah.
Dying to see the 31-year-old virgin from Germany.
Do we really think she's a virgin?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So,
she's not cute, huh?
He's playing. I get tapped out for break.
No!
And she hates when he gambles. So I'm literally 5 minutes away from being tapped out at this point, and he gets up and he's like, this is her. I got to talk to her. I probably have to meet her out front, right? So he gets up off the game. He walks away. He's on the phone. I look at my floor and I'm like, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to see her. Damn, because he said she doesn't want him to play, so he's probably going to leave when she gets here. But then we were like, well, he's going to go outside and meet her at the front. Maybe they'll get lost by the time they'll go back. His chips are still on the table, right? So he left that whole time I was gone.
But he left his chips on the table? Okay.
Chips were on the table because I was like, she better be the most drop-dead gorgeous girl. The way this guy's been talking about women, talking about how he just wants to be surrounded by pretty women but doesn't want anything to do with them, but thinks they're liars and can't get hard with Indian.
Okay.
It's a lot.
There's a lot.
At one point, after the whole I can't get an erection with Indian women, my floor looked at him and said, "Sir, you need therapy." Like point blank to his face was like, you need to go therapy. You gotta talk some things through."
I think he's got mommy issues.
100%. He even said
He's from Indian culture and his mom doesn't want him to get married.
he said this German girl is just like his mom. When he said that, me and my floor were like, well, there we go. There it is.
Mom problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get tapped out. I turn around because he was like facing that way. So I go to walk and I turn around and look at my floor. I'm like, I'm gonna miss it. Don't let them leave.
For real. For real. Okay.
So I left. I come back, all the chips were gone. He was gone.
No.
He left. I didn't
So
see
you
the
didn't
girl.
get to see the girl.
I didn't see the girl.
Why didn't you go stand at the front door?
Oh,
on your break?
When I left, I kind of went really slow so that when he came out, I can see which direction because our Ubers drop off on 2 spots in our property.
Okay.
So I'm like, he could go that way or he could go that way. So I kind of want to see, but he never came out and I can't linger on the floor. So
Right.
So
I would have lingered.
Well, then when I was coming back, I came back early.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to take this route today.
Right.
Because I'm like, maybe they went this way. But here's the kicker. This isn't her first time in Vegas. She's come to Vegas before. They met in Vegas 4 years ago.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So here's what I found out when I got back to the game. This is the kicker. Because he said she's really shy unless she's drunk. So if she comes here, she's not going to say anything to you guys. She's very shy. Right? And so we're just like, how shy can she fucking be? How shy can a person be? What I heard when I came back is that when she walked in straight. She turned her head a little bit to the right, which means you couldn't see her face if you were at the tables we were at. So she passed this to the right of us and she turned her head to the right. So we can't see her face. And she walked straight past him into our little lounge. Most people who don't gamble, who don't go into casinos, don't know that you can go into a lounge like that in high limit.
So she knows. I assume she's probably been in Vegas with him a few times and knows that.
Maybe. Or our conclusion is she's playing him. And she is a Vegas regular, is what my florist told me. They're like,
I'm going to start coming and hanging out.
Doing. She knows exactly what she's doing.
I'm going to start hanging out at your casino nightly in the high limit lounge bar.
It's wild in there. Yeah, so when I came back, 2 floors now are in on this because he told the other floor because the floor was the relief. So there's like 3 of us that are like, what is happening?
Right.
So when I came back and she was just like, how does she know that she can go back there? Most people know that they cannot go back there. So how does she know this is her first time here? According to him. Think about that. And I'm like, And the fact that she didn't want anybody to see her face. And when she walked out, she did the same thing. She turned to the left and put her hair in front of her face.
I would need to know her outfit. Does anybody know what her outfit was?
I want to see.
Did she have flip-flops on?
I have no idea. I don't think so. Because he would never be with anybody like that. He was like the first thing I look at when I look at a female are her hands and her feet because he wants to make sure they're well manicured. So if she would never be caught dead in flip-flops if she was around him because she knows what she's doing is what we think is happening. He thinks he's playing her and we think she's playing him. She got the credit card. Out of 60 females, she has his credit card.
But hasn't used it.
Hasn't used it, but she just got there like the day before for this trip.
Can I tell you my processing through that whole story?
You tell me now.
So at the beginning of the story, you talked about him flying in 60 women, but doesn't want to fuck and has this chick that he's like in love with. So in my head, I'm like, he knows the game. He knows the Vegas game. He knows that if he flies in with beautiful women, he'll get shit for free. I'm sure he's already getting stuff for free because I'm sure he plays high limit everywhere. I'm sure he's already been in Vegas multiple times and knows like the clubs and everything. Like if you bring in pretty beautiful women, you're getting shit for free.
Get taken
Regardless
care
of how much you gamble, you're getting shit for free. So that was my first thought. I was like, okay, he knows the game. Then when you were like, oh, he's got this woman from Germany that he really loves, wants to marry. So I'm like, okay, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He knows the game. So he's flying all these women in. He's putting them up. He knows he can go party with them, get whatever he wants. This is why he likes her. Is because he's so used to these beautiful women offering sex.
Throwing themselves
at him.
Essentially, yeah.
Yes. So that's why he's like, I'm over it. Because I guarantee you he went through a phase where he loved it and was
he said it. 100%.
Having sex with all of them. I'm sure he went through that phase where he loved it and was having sex with all of them.
He was like, so I was in my early 20s.
Exactly.
He did that little whole story.
Exactly. So he's like, I'm a little bit older. I don't want any of these women. This doesn't turn me on anymore. I'm not excited by it. But I know what I can get by bringing them. Okay? So I'm like, this dude's smart. He knows the game. He has this woman who's opposite of all of these women that he's used to being around. She's shy. She doesn't use his credit card, so he's not asking him for money.
I think she's in it for the long con.
For the long con, for sure. She's the kind that'll get married and then divorce you after 10 years and get her prenup payout. That's the kind she is. I don't think she's that kind, but that's what the kind that they think she is. I feel like she's not that kind. So she's shy. She's not Indian. But then when you were like, his mom doesn't want him to get married. I'm like, oh, that's why he's a playboy. Because his mom doesn't want him to get married. So he's a playboy. So then, but clearly he's got serious trauma with his mom because if Indian women don't turn him on, like to the point where you don't get hard, like that's extreme.
That's a lot, yeah.
Because how many men do you know in Vegas that play that game that won't just put their dick in a hole in a tree? Yeah. And at that point, any woman is a hole in a tree. So, like, even Indian women are a hole in a tree. So the fact that you can't get hard for that.
And he obviously tried for 3 years.
Tells me that you have serious home problem traumas. And you tried for 3 years? You dated her for 3 years? Girl, why didn't you leave?
Right? 3 years?
3 years of that? After the third time, I would have been like, this isn't working out. We're okay. Good luck, sir.
Godspeed.
But he's got money.
So he's not attracted to Indian women, but he's attracted to this lady who he says is just like his mom. What the fuck? Yeah, see what the fuck.
The psychology on this is going crazy. Ooh, I'm not even a psychologist or anything, but I feel like just basic textbook shit, like that's some interesting stuff. But the fact that she knew, no, I feel like she's been to Vegas with him a couple times and he's been like, just go to the bar, it's fine. And she's like, no. But why was she hiding her face?
Because I think she's been there before. And maybe
I would need to see her. Because if I saw her in her outfit and her type, I would be like,
I needed to see
no.
Her. I needed to see her.
I would have been like, she's either playing you or you're playing her.
I
would need to see her.
But I'm like, with my 2 floors.
You can't come to Vegas for your friend's birthday and then be shy.
And she had a few drinks at this point.
And be a few drinks.
They were at Tao. Exactly. That's why our conclusion was she's been there before. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows the game. He knows what he's doing, and she knows she's one step ahead, I think.
I feel like she could possibly be.
I think she was scared
a Vegas regular, kind of know the game, but doesn't participate in the game. Because for years, girl, I was best friends with like pimps that had their girls around, and I'd go to the club with all of them, and I'd go out and they would go work and I would hang with the guys. But I was never in that life. But I knew everything about it. So like when I talk to people now, like they were like, they'll say some shit to me and I'll be like, oh, you're a pimp. And they'll be like, how'd you know that? Like I never took you for that. And I'm like, no, because I don't participate in that style of life, but I know everything about it because I've been around it for years. Yeah. Like, oh, so interesting.
I really think she's just, not to be rude.
I would have to see her to be able to say if she's playing him or not. I would have to physically look at her.
I mean, my floors are like, she's cute.
And then I would just stereotype her based off her appearance, which is awful, but I would.
100%. But my floors have been in this industry for 20 plus years.
Okay, so they've
right?
seen a lot too.
So yeah, they were like, she didn't want us to see her face because we think she's been here before. And he's under the guise that she's shy, she doesn't really do that, blah, blah, blah.
Why do I picture her as a redhead?
No, she's blonde.
That was my second guess.
She's
I was
like
like, she's either
blonde,
a
blonde.
redhead or a strawberry blonde.
She's blonde. Blonde.
She's from Germany. She was in town for her friend's birthday and he just happened to be here.
No, they.
That's another thing I would need to know is I'm like, so she is just here and you just happen to fly in 60 women and you guys just happen to be here, or what's the situation? Because that's why I was like, is she from Germany but lives here?
Right, because she's staying in Vegas for 30 days. She's not staying in LA where he lives for 30 days. I think she's in it for the long con.
This is interesting.
I know.
I hope he comes back. I hope you need to.
I told him to.
I was like, please get him to come back and ask more questions.
I told him to.
And text me and I will EO and I will come.
Be like, he's here.
I will take $1,000 out and I'll come play with him.
He's here.
You have to be extra nice to me though.
Oh God.
So I can maintain.
Oh no, if you're nice enough and he thinks you're pretty enough, he might just give you money. But I told him because I played along with the fantasy and I was like, when you get married, what kind of wedding you have, right? All that stuff. So he was like, I'm a guy that when I want something and I go after it, I always get what I want.
I always get what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
I
that guy.
hate guys
exactly.
like that.
And so before I left, before I tapped out, I was like, you got to come back. You got to tell me, invite me to the wedding.
I do that at work. I'll be like, I'm coming to the wedding. I'm coming to the wedding. I love weddings.
I was like, or just come back and tell me you guys got married. Like, I need to know the update. So you have to come back and come tell us. You got to find us. We'll be here.
Yeah,
just come tell us.
For real. Oh.
Isn't that so interesting?
I had so many emotions during that story.
So did I, being on the table.
My brain was going 1,000 miles an hour.
That's how my brain was. There's a couple things that I missed because I was dealing it in my head. I was like, who is this guy? To top it off, this isn't his real name. We have his ID. He was telling people his name is Gandhi.
This dude knows what he's doing.
But does he? I think he's getting played.
I once had a very wise man in my life. I think
was it Gandhi?
It was not Gandhi. He's a wise man in my book because he's been around. Who runs this world?
Girls?
Men. Girls. Thanks, Beyonce. We appreciate you. No, but who really runs this world is men.
Yeah.
And what is the one thing that run men?
Money? Power? Which one?
Pussy.
Oh.
So this very wise friend of mine many years ago told me when I was very young, Tori, I'm friends with a lot of very powerful, very influential people. And the one thing that makes them make stupid decisions is women.
Oh, very true.
So he was telling me, he was like, if I were you and I was your age and looked like you, I would have somebody's baby and be taken care of for the rest of my life. Just pick wisely, is what the advice he was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, you're right. I'm just not that human being. I just would never be happy. And I can't not do that, you know? I would never be happy with my life if I chose that route. And I'm not against that route. I've thought about it a couple of times. Here's this guy who really is trying to hit me
Especially
up. I could easily have his baby and be set.
You have these offers on
all the time.
Regular.
Especially
on the regular.
Especially when I was in the nightclub 3 times a week. I would have NBA players, NFL players be like, yo, this or that, all the time. So I find that interesting because just in my head, I'm like, here's this guy with all this money and all this power and all this knowledge. Clearly he's smart and knows how to play the life game. And I'm like, the one thing that would shut you down and ruin you is this one girl.
And I think it is.
I was like, and if we think what Krystal's team as coworkers are thinking is she could come in, run 3 laps around you and then have you set for the rest of life.
I think she's playing the long game. Yeah, she didn't use his credit card yet, but I think that's part of the game she's
Right.
playing.
Because he knows that if he gave his credit card to any of these other women,
Oh.
they'd be racking it up.
Oh, yeah.
Instantly.
They would have been shopping at the Krystal shops.
And she's like, I'm shy. I've never had sex. I'm never going to use your credit card.
You don't know how to hold hands with someone at 31?
How do I hold your hands? He loves it.
And you come to Vegas regularly?
He loves it because she's so prude and so innocent.
My floor straight up asked him, do you like her because she's a virgin?
Oh, what did he say?
He was like, I think so.
Okay. But I wonder, like, if they ever had sex, would it be done for him in his head? Would he be like, okay?
That's what I thought too. He's like, well, conquered. Done. On to the next. I hope he comes back.
That's so interesting.
I hope he comes back and sees me, because if I see Gandhi, I'm going to be like, Gandhi! Where's that wedding ring at?
We're like, Gandhi, did you pop the question? What's going on? Did she cry? What's happening? She still have your credit card?
She's still a virgin.
That's wild. I would want to know, why is she in Vegas for a month? Because people like will come to Vegas and they'll be like, oh no, I'm in the States for a month. And I'm like, cool, where else are you going?
Yeah, they usually do.
Because
like
they'll be like, I'm in the States for a month, or I'm in the States for 6 weeks or something. And then they'll explore the entire West Coast and then maybe New York.
Yes.
Or Chicago or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be like, oh, we're going to Vegas and LA, and then we're going to go to the Grand Canyon, and we're going to do this, and then we're going up to Seattle, and then we're going to go to New York for 3 days, and then we fly back.
Yeah, they hit up all the main
wherever they're from.
The main tourist, like, biggest cities in the States, and then they go back home. That's literally, like, we hear that.
Really how it goes.
That's how most people do it when they're from a different country and they get that 30-day visa or however it works.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I love Gandhi.
Go Gandhi. We got Freddie. Got Gandhi.
There's that one.
You got a couple good ones. You got a couple good ones.
I have.
I hope they come back and see you.
I hope so.
I really do.
Yeah, I've been waiting for Freddie. He hasn't come back. But then again, the casinos are so big, you could just miss them.
That's true. Freddie also wasn't there that long ago.
No, what, like a month?
Like a month? Yeah. You gotta give him some time to come back. Yeah. You gotta give him a little bit of leeway.
With his wife that's a little bit less.
Because she played ball in college.
Gandhi, man.
Interesting.
I love it. I love all of it. This is one of the highlights of our job, is the different people you meet is so... Oh, there was one time, though, where after hearing some of how he feels about women, right, he started losing a little bit. He still won with me, which is overall rare.
Yeah.
Because I had just taken 100,000 from somebody else.
Wild.
But so
Christine coming out.
He's winning with me, but when he was going on a little bit of a losing streak, he did the, come on, baby, come on, Krystal. And I got the icks. It went through my whole body because I was like, no, don't call me baby.
Right.
Don't do that.
We talked about this, how it's all about men's energy and the way they say things.
Yeah.
Because you could be like, come on, baby, let's go. Then you can be like, come on, baby.
Yeah.
And you're like,
ooh, it went through my body that
nasty.
I was like, no, thank you.
Please don't.
Gandhi, I'm not going to be one of your 60 women.
Right, exactly.
No, because he's 30, and he was like, I usually don't like older women. Before he even told us her age. So I'm over here thinking she's like
31.
And then he was like, yeah, she's 31. And I looked at my floor and I was like, what is wrong with this kid?
She's probably really only like 4 months older than him.
Probably.
Like not even really a whole year.
But he's not into older women.
But just her birthday hits before his birthday. And when they met, she was like, oh, I'm 31. And he's like, I'm 30. I don't like older women.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah. Yuck. Either way.
Wild.
Love this city.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. So I'll tell you this story. So it was the same night as my Karen.
Oh God.
So like maybe like an hour or two.
Can you take any more after this?
Girl, the whole night was just wild. So I'm dancing on the box. I'm in the craps pit. And this lady who is, I could tell she's a little bit older. She's Asian, but she's fucking bomb. She's got her tits done. She's like, it's a really like small, tight, fit body. She's in this one shoulder dress, like this there's like one strap on her shoulder dress that like kind of goes down her and around her chest. She looks phenomenal, but clearly she's hella drunk.
Oh,
like you can just see it in her face. So her dude is playing at this craps table. He's the only one playing the table. And she like she is locking in his eyes, trying to like, she's staring at him with all of her being, like so hard. And he doesn't give a fuck. He's gambling, he's playing his game. So she's like walking around. She's like standing in the middle of the two pits and she's trying to like wiggle and dance and stuff. She goes up to a blackjack table and stands behind a guy in a chair who's sitting down, and she tries to like dance sexy on the chair and is like shaking her hips and like wiggling and like doing this like snake s thing, going down and then coming up. And she's like will not stop staring at her dude. Her dude doesn't give a fuck. So she comes over to the craps table, goes around the other side of the craps table to where he's standing to try and catch his eye and doing the same thing. He's not paying any attention. She like walks down, comes back, not paying any attention. So she like looks at me at one point and I was like, "You look phenomenal." I was like, I point at her, I go up and down. I was like, "Look great." And I give her the okay sign with my hand. I'm like, "Look great." And she was like clearly shocked. She was like, "Oh, thank you." So then she comes into the pit.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
So the pit boss goes up to her and is like, "Hey," like she's like standing at the podium, staring at me, staring at her dude, like trying to come over to me. She's like, "Hey," the pit boss goes up to her and goes, "Hey, like you can't be here." She doesn't move. So then the pit boss like walks across the pit because security's standing like slightly outside the pit and was like, "Yo," get security to come over. Then her dude finally sees her after like a good 5, 6, 7 minutes of her dancing around trying to get his attention because she doesn't want to be here. He's gambling. He doesn't care. So he finally looks at her and is like, "What are you doing? You can't be over there." But does not go to get her.
He's still gambling.
He's still like, whatever, rolls the dice. But it's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So security goes up and is like, "Hey, you have to come with me. You can't be behind the tables." She doesn't want to go. So she tries to walk closer to me. And now I'm feeling bad at this point because I'm like, I told her she looked beautiful. Like, she's trying
And now
to
you're
come over to
watching
me.
her get talked to by
I was like,
security.
she's trying to come over to me, but like, security's trying to get her out, and she just wants to leave.
Yeah.
Her dude's gambling.
Clearly.
So security ends up grabbing her because she keeps scooting in towards the pit. So he kind of like grabs her shoulder, like stops her from moving closer into the pit. And of course, then her dude speaks up, right? And her dude's like, "Hey." So the security guard is like motioning her. Not really. He doesn't grab her after that, but like it's kind of just like, "Hey," like
Yeah, there's a way that
kind of like trying to herd her out of the pit.
Right. It's more of a herd. They're not physically like being aggressive.
No, they're not. And he's very nice. So he's like trying to like, "Let's go this way. Come on. No, we can't go that way. Let's go this way."
Yeah.
Like, so gets her to the dude and he goes, "Hey, do you know her?" Because regularly, this is what security has told me. Security has told me that they've tried to kick people out and people will be like, "Those are my friends over there." And they'll just point out a random group of people to try and stay. So he brings her over to this dude and he's like, "Do you know her?" And he's like, "Yeah, she's my girlfriend." And he's like, "Okay, well, she can't be in the pit." And he was like, "Yeah, no shit." Like, just being rude to the security guard.
Here
And
we
security
go.
guard was like, "Well, keep her out of the pit then."
Right, yeah.
And then he walks away annoyed because this guy's just being an asshole for no reason. Like, you saw her in the pit, you should have gone and gotten her. So then she's like standing there staring at him, looking at me, still trying to dance around. Girl, her nipple is out the entire time. I'm sorry. This was the whole point of this story. Completely forgot. So she has this one shoulder, like, strapless dress that kind of, like, starts on one of her shoulders and goes around. But, like, the part that doesn't have a strap is low. And, like, her nipple is out. Not the entire thing, like not her entire titty, but a good portion of it was out. So she's like taken back to her dude. They stand there. I go on break. I come back and they're getting kicked out of the pit. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. Like, this girl was trying so hard to get you to leave. She was like willing to go up and dance on other people to get you to leave, and you wouldn't even look at her.
Well, I mean, she got what she wanted.
Yeah, and then something else must have happened with her because she was very drunk. Like, to the point where she was, like, holding on things to stand and her eyes weren't opening fully.
She was drunk.
She was drunk. She was drunk. She was gorgeous, but she was drunk. And So when I came back downstairs, they were getting kicked out. And then it was my last hour, and I was dealing, and this dad and son duo came up to my table. They buy in for like 100 and 100. I push them there once. They do one spin. The dad gets up to go to the bar, and all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, the son is slumped.
What?
Like walked up to my table fine, bought in
Yeah.
fine, played the first spin fine.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's at my table like this, like,
Whoa. Wait, is he sitting in one of the chairs?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's sitting in a chair, his head like chin to chest, his forehead is down, his arms are like limp in front of him, like just like
What?
sitting at my table like this. So so if you're not watching the video, you didn't really get to see. But
Well, I mean, slumped over, sitting
like
on a chair.
slumped over, like hunchback, chin is to his chest, his head is down, his arms are like dead in front of him. So I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
Because I don't know his name. I'm like, hey. I'm like tapping the table. I'm like, hey.
Yeah. You got to wake up. You can't
I'm
be
like,
asleep at
hey.
the table. Yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't respond to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, like,
Are you good?
like, did something serious just happen? Because
Yeah.
I've had people who are kind of falling asleep at my table, and I'm like, hey, you can't sleep here. And then they like wake up or they'll stand up or something. He was unresponsive. So like a minute later, his dad comes back, and I was like, hey, is he okay?
Yeah.
Because he just like, he walked up to my table fine, and all of a sudden he's slumped over unresponsive. So he like looks at his son and is like, hey, like hits him, and his son's like, And he goes, okay, deep breaths, dude. Like, you gotta open your eyes, deep breaths, open your eyes, deep breaths. So his dad plays another round. And what am I? I'm supposed to just keep doing my job. I can't be like, is he okay? Like, if there's chips in action, I have to spin the ball.
Yep.
So I spin the ball. His dad was like, it's his 21st birthday. And I was like, oh, are you his dad? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it seems like he's having a good birthday.
Yeah.
And his dad was like, yeah, no, we've had a long, fun day, but lots of drinking. But just like out of nowhere.
He
like,
just turned off.
He just turned
He
off.
literally just shut down right at the table.
Yeah. So his dad spins, hits, like, he gets another good hit. I push him his money. He's like, has bought his son a drink, bought him a drink. He's like, hey, you want to go one more round? And his son's like mumbling. He's like, He's like, let's go one more round, then I'll take you home. And he's like, And so I tell his dad, I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, if somebody sees him, you guys are going to get kicked out.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'll just do one more spin and we'll color up. So I'm like, okay.
Uh-huh.
So his dad's placing his bets. I start organizing his son's money. Like, I'm bent over the table. Like, I had already counted it down, stacked it up, so I could just pull it in really quick, count it down one more time, and give him his money. And his dad was like, oh, that's so nice of you. Thanks. Like, we're doing good. So we do one more. His dad hits. I pay him. Like, they color up and they leave.
Wow.
And I'm like,
that was a little sketch for a second.
No, I was low-key like.
My heart would have started being like,
not
today.
Are you okay?
Not today. Not on my table.
Usually I can be like, hey, and I'll tap the table.
Yeah.
And you kind of make a noise. Like, I'll be like, hey.
Yeah.
Like, you okay?
Yeah.
Like, you can't sleep here.
Right.
Like, open your eyes. And the
Mhm.
people will normally, like, stand up.
That's what I always do. I'll tap and I'll be like, you can't sleep on the table. You're going to get kicked off the table. You got to wake up.
I'll tell people,
Yeah.
I'll be like, you'll get kicked out. And then people will stand up or something.
And they'll wake up.
Or their friend will be like, hey, bro.
Yeah,
like,
they'll
come
perk
on,
up.
come on. And they'll perk up a little bit. This guy was unresponsive.
I would have been scared. So quick story because we have to wrap up this episode. But one of my floors told me that somebody died on the table. Mm-hmm. The property that she was at the longest, I think it was like 11 years. Because I asked her, I was like, you've seen everything, huh? When I first met her. And she's like, I've seen everything. She's like, I've seen somebody die in front of me. And I was like, what? That's a first.
my
Like, I know it
God.
happens, but I haven't talked to anybody who it's happened to. It was on her game. This guy had a heart attack and died right there in front of everyone.
Oh, my God.
So you saying that made my heart like, how is this going to end?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, my whole thing was he walked up perfectly fine, sat
Yeah.
down, bought in. I was like, do you want ones or fives? He's like, I'll take ones. Like,
why?
Communicating with me fine. And then all of a sudden was just slumped and turned over.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, my goodness.
Which would have scared me more because I would have been like, what are you?
You were just fine.
You were fine and now you're not. Are you good?
Yeah.
Do I need to call security
Oh,
to
like,
get the
because I was
wheelchair?
like, let me wait for his friend to come back. Because in my head, I was like, let me wait for this guy to come back from the bar. And I'll be like, hey, Is he okay?
Mhm.
And then when he was like, oh, it's his 21st birthday. We've had a long day. And I'm like, oh, are you his dad? Because then his dad, we all, like, everybody colored up, and he literally, like, slung him over his shoulder and walked out with him like a firefighter, you know? Like,
Yeah.
he was like, okay, we're good. We're leaving.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, at least he's in good hands. But I've seen people who are that drunk and slumped over who don't have a friend or don't have good
Oh.
friends to help them. Like,
Oh, yeah.
or I'll be like, where are you guys staying? And they're like, oh, Plaza. And I'm like, take him to his room, come back. And he's like, they're fine. I'm like, what? Don't do that.
You know how many times I've seen people just alone, just completely wasted and alone because their friends have just left them.
That happens downtown all the time.
Yeah, it's really scary.
I'm like, get you some better friends.
Yes.
Because
100%, because nobody should be leaving you alone that intoxicated in Vegas.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, especially if you're staying so close, like, go throw him in the room, in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Leave him in the bathtub with a pillow. He can throw up all he wants, come back out and party, but don't drag him around, or don't leave him out here. That's crazy to me.
Leave him out there. And then, I mean, don't drag him around either, because he could be the reason why you get kicked out wherever you're at.
Yeah.
Because technically, like, you're not, we can't have that. That's a liability.
No, it's a liability for the company. Yeah, I can't do that.
But anyways.
Oh, God. So crazy stories this week.
Crazy. These are some pretty good ones.
Yeah, those are some good ones.
Those are
We
good
got
ones.
Karen. We have Mr. Indian Man.
Gandhi.
He's confused. We don't know if he's being played or the player.
Yeah.
Got some schlumped over drunks.
Vegas. Just another week in Vegas.
Yeah,
That's it.
for real. That's pretty much all we got.
Well,
all right.
Season 2. This is second to last episode.
Episode
11. This is 11.
There you go.
And make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share with everyone. And we'll see you in the next one. The season finale of season 2, Changing 100.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Don't forget to tip your cocktail servers, tip your dealers. Whatever you do, please don't walk through the pit. Don't go behind the tables. You should know this by now.
Yeah, don't do it. We're going to get a billboard one day. PSAs.
For real. I can't wait to get
one
t-shirts
after another. Just a PSA. Don't do this. PSA. Don't do this.
I'm going to give t-shirts
PSA,
to all the girls we work with and be like, everyone wear this.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.